Okay, and our last question. With the recent Mann case has polarized the community, what would you do as a judge to ensure the public safety in high-profile cases? And we'll start off with you, Don.
Okay. First, to ensure public safety, I'm going to sentence people on the merits of the case and not how high profile the case is in the community. When you're a judge, you have to have the guts to sentence a person based on the facts of the case, not on whether one side is screaming for blood or the other side is screaming for mercy. At the same time, you have to be sensitive to the victims to understand and hear what the case has done to them and try to meet that and make them whole in the process. When sentencing, a judge has to consider what is the best remedy to give the victims the best shot at compensation. Now, in terms of high-profile cases, what makes a high-profile case? Normally, it's the fact that a bad act was done by a good person. It creates a high-profile situation when it's something that you could have done or gotten close to. For instance, when I first started practicing law, drunk drivings were considered not that big a deal. But Mothers Against Driving, against drunk drivers got involved, and suddenly the public was sensitized to the fact that this is a bad thing. And I could be going out there doing it, and who knows? I could be looking at my cell phone, and I could kill somebody. Well, I think high-profile cases are good for the community because they make us each look at ourselves and see how we can be a better person. I can tell you one thing, that when I was a kid, I used to pass on blind curves and stuff like that. And the way I broke that was I would stare in the eyes of the next person who went around that corner and said, I could have hurt that person.
Thank you. Darren, you're up.
Regarding high-profile cases, I guarantee you, in my courtroom, justice will be done. It doesn't make a difference if you're the poorest of the poor or the richest of the rich. You will be treated the same. I repeat, you will be treated the same. Now, I don't know much about this, about the Mann case, except what's been in the paper. But I do know the judge was appointed, was not elected by anybody in this community. And that brings up a related subject. What happens when a judge makes a bad decision? Well, it can possibly tear apart a community, destroy lives, devastate families. That's why it's absolutely crucial that you have a judge with trial experience. That way, you have a better chance of maintaining the safety of the community based on that long history of proven performance in the courtroom. Otherwise, justice can end up being conceived or perceived as a mockery. Thank you.
Chris, you're up.
First of all, I would like to make a comment that it is improper for any of us to make comments about pending or impending cases. There is a canon of judicial ethics that applies to every judge and every candidate for judicial office that very clearly states that you may not make any comment about any impending or pending case in any court. So it's not appropriate for us to speak about any particular case. It is also inappropriate for candidates and judges to make comments that commit them to how they would rule in particular cases. So with that, it seems sometimes you'll think that people are not making clear comments or they're skirting around the bushes, but those are the reasons why we do that. Because there are rules that say that we can't make those types of comments. In terms of high-profile cases, Judges should treat cases the same regarding the person who comes to court believes that his or her case is important. It doesn't matter if it's a high-profile case or not a high-profile case. The judge who hears the case must apply the law, listen to the facts, and make a decision that is just based on the law. And by doing that, that's what upholds the integrity of the justice system. People won't come to court if they don't believe that the process is fair. The case has to be determined based on the way it's charged, based on the punishment that's imposed. There's a comment that was made about the judge that was incorrect in the Mann case, and that judge was a visiting judge. And so I think that people need to understand what happens when visiting judges come to counties to make decisions.
Okay, we've reached that part of the deal where you each get to ask each other a question. It's supposed to be one sentence. We know that isn't happening. And it's supposed to end in a question mark. So we're going to start off with you, Darren.
Darren McElfresh. Listen, I'm not going to play gotcha politics. My experience speaks for itself. I'm the right person for the right reason. Thank you.
Chris. And Don.
I feel the same.
Okay, we're going to get to the audience questions. Where do you stand on the death penalty? And we'll start off with you, Darren.
Well, I am the only candidate that was certified to prosecute or defend death penalty cases. I actually do believe in the death penalty. I think it's appropriate for the most heinous of crimes that are committed upon people. Thank you, but I will not judge anybody until we actually hear the evidence.
And Don, would you go ahead?
Sure. I always started out thinking that the death penalty was an appropriate remedy. And if the jury found special circumstances, I would certainly look at it and impose it if the circumstances required it. The problem is that the death penalty is broken in California. In California, the death penalty doesn't work. All it is a method of, number one, to get you extra attorneys when you're defending the case, and then you get a line of appellate attorneys that make millions of dollars off the system, and it ties up our state and federal courts for years and years and years. The person gets the privileges of going to the law library, and a death penalty person really shouldn't get extra privileges that make them feel special. They get to go to court. They would normally be sitting in a cell. It's broken, it doesn't work, and frankly, considering no one's been executed in I don't know how many years, it would be better for the state's budget if we got rid of it.
Darren, you're up.
Darren's already answered this, so it's my turn. The reason that we have the rules that apply about judges making personal comments about how they feel about certain issues is that as a judge, you uphold the law. And so my personal opinion about the death penalty doesn't matter. As a judge, I have to make a decision about whether I can hear a case or not. And in making that decision, I have to go through and look at my own personal beliefs and examine those personal beliefs, and then based on those personal beliefs, decide whether or not I can apply the law and whether or not I should not hear the case. So that's my basic philosophy, is that you have to look at your own beliefs about whether you wish to and whether you're able to hear a case. The law in California allows the death penalty. We have had death penalty cases in our courts, and every judge who hears those death penalty cases has to make a decision about whether he or she can listen to the evidence fairly and make that decision based on their personal beliefs.
Thank you.